Hi, my name is Kalia, and I'm an empath. But an empath is not something you find in a 12-step recovery program that you need to get over or recover from. An empath is a type of personality that is highly sensitive to energy, to people's moods and emotions, and often to sound, light, smells, and even EMFs. Empaths are also referred to as highly sensitive people, and they make up about 20% of the population. That makes empaths a minority because 80% of the population don't have the sensitivity that an empath has. In fact, they often see the sensitivity of an empath as something they need to learn to get over or move beyond. There are things in life we do need to get over and move beyond, but our sensitivity is not one of them. Our sensitivity is really a gift, even if sometimes it may feel like a curse. You see, part of being sensitive is that one is highly aware. They are more tuned into their surroundings, to other people, and to their environment. They're also often more attuned to their intuition. They may hear, feel, or see things that others don't. They may frequently be guided in ways that can really help them follow their highest path, their soul path. Where others may ignore any strong sense of intuitive guidance, an empath may find it difficult to ignore these deep inner promptings. I could give you so many examples of how I heard an intuitive prompting that very well may have saved my life, or at least saved me from serious trauma. I've learned to really trust this guidance, regardless of how others may rationalize it away. One beautiful spring day, my son, who was 8 years old at the time, and I were at a large neighborhood park. They had a lot of trails and trees and a creek moving through the park. And my son was having fun playing in a large tree by the playground. But suddenly I heard this voice that said, "You need to go home now." And there was an urgency to this voice. It was within me, it was strong, and it got my attention. So I turned to my son and said, "We need to go home now." And of course, he bargained for more playtime. He was having a good time, but that urgency came through me, and I said, "We need to go now. We need to get on our bikes and head home right away." So he listened to that urgency, and we got on our bikes and we rode home. I immediately went into the restroom, and then I heard my son screaming. So I came out and rushed over to the window where he was staring out of this big picture window and having a meltdown. So I looked out that window, and there's this big mushroom cloud of smoke and flames that were shooting up from the very park we had just left. My partner at the time heard us, and when he saw what was happening, he told us to grab what we needed and to get into the car. So we did, and we ended up kind of going into gridlock with a bunch of other cars that were trying to leave the neighborhood because nobody really knew what was happening. And so we knew we needed to get out of the area. Well, it turned out that there was a gas leak that poured into the creek, and some kids were down there playing. They were about my son's age. They had found some fireworks. They had a lighter. They lit a lighter. There was a bunch of gas pouring into the creek and fumes everywhere, and it ignited the fumes and caused a huge explosion. And the fire trail followed the creek for quite a long ways. Unfortunately, the two boys didn't make it, and there were other lives lost. but my son and I were okay. We were just traumatized seeing the explosion so close to home. But had I not listened, we would have been in the park when the explosion happened. Although empaths are not the only ones who receive guidance from beyond our understanding, they do tend to be more sensitive to it and more aware of the subtle promptings of something that goes beyond the rational reasoning mind. Yet empaths don't get the respect that they deserve. On the contrary, they so often are scapegoated because they see things that people don't want them to see, or because their sensitivity makes them seem weak to others, or they're shamed for feeling so deeply. The worst crucible of the empath is the dance they do with people who lack empathy altogether, like the narcissist. Why is it that people with such high levels of sensitivity are attracted to people who have very little empathy or sensitivity, and vice versa? Well, there's a lot of information circulating about the dance between the empath and the narcissist, but I like to look at things from a deeper spiritual perspective. Yes, opposites do attract, and we could go into this, but the empath is on a journey to understand themselves on a higher level. They attract the very thing that's going to cause them to feel that there is something seriously wrong with them. They're too sensitive, they're not enough, they're deeply flawed, they're unworthy. And who better than a narcissist to unearth these feelings? But we also have this huge opportunity to start to finally embrace our sensitivity and deep level of awareness as the gift that it is. And this is the gift that can come out of that relationship. This is where we no longer give our power to the one who makes us wrong. We take back our power and we start to see that the qualities we possess, our sensitivity, our level of awareness, and deep inner knowing are truly gifts, not curses. But we don't come to this right away. This is an understanding that we can develop through time, through experience. It's often a journey of sorting through all the pieces. The one who hides himself from the world is deeply threatened by the one who sees what he's attempting to hide. And this is where the empath becomes the narcissist's worst enemy. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be exposed. And yet the very nature of the empath is to see the unseen, to hear the unheard, to feel the unfelt. When we feel something is off, and we try to talk to this person that we love and tell them that something feels off, we're often invalidated, told we're wrong, and even told that we're crazy. But in my years of working with empaths, I can tell you one thing. The biggest lesson people walk away with in their relationships with narcissists in their lives is, I learned that I can trust what I know. I was right. My gut feeling was accurate. My senses were right on. And this is the spiritual lesson we needed to learn to develop more confidence and to learn how to trust ourselves and what we know. We need to learn to trust that this sixth sense that we have is accurate. Instead of feeling there's something wrong with us, that we're flawed, we need to come to the understanding that we have a level of awareness that goes beyond what most people have cultivated. Where an empath in spiritual training will say, I know, but I can't be sure that what I know is true. Where the spiritually advanced empath will say, I know, and I know that I know. meaning there's no doubt that what he or she feels to be true is true. We have to learn to trust ourselves. And often the greatest path to trusting ourselves is through all the years of self-doubt that we've experienced. I've been talking more about the soul path because I feel this is the most important path we can walk. It's the white wolf path, the path to our true self, the path we were born to walk. And when you were born as an empath, a highly sensitive person who feels very deeply, you need to trust that you came in with these gifts for a reason. Your life has meaning. You have a reason for being here. You have to learn to trust your deeper self, your deeper knowing. It's trying to guide you. And I have learned the hard way that every time I stray from my path, I experience a lot of hardship. Life does not flow. I'm unable to manifest what I set out to manifest in my life. But every time I remember to surrender, to let go and let God, so to speak, my life begins to flow again. When I get caught up in the ego way, which is the black wolf path, I do what I think I should, rather than what I feel truly inspired or moved to do. And this always seems to lead me down a dark road. Sometimes the path of the dark night of the soul is that sacred path between who we were and who we are becoming that we have not yet become. So we can't go back to who we were, but we don't know yet what lies ahead. We don't know where we're going. We simply need to learn to trust. We need to learn that the path of the empath is a soul-aligned path. If we develop an understanding of how to walk it, it's a process of trust and surrender. We need to trust that hardships we experience are often leading us deeper into who we have come here to be. I believe that the true soul path is a path we're all meant to walk, but the ego is typically the aspect of us that is taking the lead. We give in to fear, to insecurity, a need to display an image we think people will like or approve of. We do what we think we should, and we ignore our instincts and intuition because they don't make logical sense. The thing about being an empath is that we can easily do what everybody else is doing and let the ego take the lead, but we feel this deep feeling that something's wrong, something's off. We are not on the right path. And because we have a certain level of awareness and sensitivity to those inner inklings, it becomes more and more difficult to ignore. We're being called forward, and we need to learn to trust in this calling. Not everyone will trust in their highest path. Not everyone will strive to become their most authentic self, to be true to themselves. And this is okay. But if you are an empath, I believe you will have a much more difficult time if you don't really learn to listen to that still small voice within. You are here for a reason. Listen. Follow the voice of your soul, the voice of the white wolf. This will guide you to where you truly belong. So thank you so much for listening. And once again, I have a free email course about finding your soul path. So if you are a little confused or a lot confused about where you are meant to be or what your true calling is, you can sign up for my Soul Path free course in the link below. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Blessings.